So I tried this 6-bladed razor, figuring, hey, I'm already using a 3-bladed razor. A 6-bladed razor will be twice as good. But that fucker did to my face what the Republican Party does to facts. Oh my fucking god. I don't know if there's resolution enough to see it, but I'm missing chunks of my face, and there's still patches of hair. It's fucked up. Don't use a 6-bladed razor. Less importantly, I keep hearing all this stuff about the discord of the online atheist community. It's just this whole thing like Bionic Dance. Bionic Dance goes too far. Bionic Dance doesn't go too far enough. And it's understandable. And then there's people commenting on the Discord, and then people commenting on the commenting. And of course I like to complete the train, so I'm going to comment on all that shit. Quit taking yourself so seriously, guys. It's not like this stuff actually matters. Take a look around. Climate change is getting ready to destroy our global infrastructure, so let's not worry about silly things like YouTube atheism. Oh wait, yeah, I guess I do have to worry about it a little to make this video. So, Skeptical Heretic, he's what you'd call a wrist flapper atheist. Big Lundy, is that my own term, wrist flapper atheist? He doesn't like being called a soft atheist. I'm gonna go with wrist flapper. But it's always the same crap. We don't want to become our enemy, but the thing is, that arrogantly assumes that we're gonna win. So, being fair and even-handed, that's what you do after you win. You don't do that shit before you win. You don't just suppose you're gonna win and just la-da-da, let's be even-handed and fair. It's just arrogant beyond belief. What, do you really think that people respond to reason? Some do, a lot don't.
So, yes, I definitely think she is very repetitive without any sort of expansion upon points she's made in the past. And to me, that doesn't do anything. It doesn't get people interested in the subject. It doesn't give anything more than a superficial view of the subject.
Well, perhaps it doesn't do anything to you, but I took public speaking 3 times, and I failed all 3 times, but I do remember something from the class, and repetition is the key to getting your point across. There's also the primacy and recency, and in persuasive speaking there's a call to action, although, like I said, I failed the class, so maybe I'm not the best person to be lecturing on this. But, repetition is not a bad thing if you want to get your message out, because people, the brains are like a fog. You just have to repeat things if you want them to stick.
And in that way, I call it pseudo-intellectual. I think it's broken record stuff. It sounds almost theistic. If you can kind of catch my drift on that, maybe you don't. Okay. As for that third bit, people criticizing her selling stuff like in a Zazzle store or her webcomic, I've seen that too. Knock that the fuck off, guys. Everyone's entitled to make a buck. That's just being fucking childish.
Class, please include in your notes that everyone is entitled to make a buck. This will be on the test later.
So, grow up. And insults about personal appearance and that sort of stuff, that's not above board either when you're trying to get a point across.
Well, I respectfully disagree, love child of Steve Buscemi and Frankenstein's monster.
First off, calling it soft atheism, come on. That's not legitimate. There's nothing soft about my form of atheism. However, I think the way to educate people or to get them to change their views typically works better when you talk to them as opposed to smashing them in the face.
Well, says you, but everyday observation of people's decision-making process would tend to disagree with you on this. So there's that. There's you saying this thing, and then there's readily observable reality saying another thing. I mean, it's a tough call. I don't know who I'm going to believe here. I mean, you're saying, well, if you just talk to people, they will generally be persuaded to the reasonable point of view with reason. And then there's, every single day of life and every bit of familiarity with reality and how people operate. It's a tough call. It's tough. I think I'll believe you. See? I just proved my own point.
I mean, if I really want someone to change their mind, I'm probably going to try talking to them first. And then if it doesn't work, after many iterations of ridiculousness, I'm going to write them off. And that's sort of how I do business. And I found that to be pretty effective.
Pretty effective, huh? And what percentage of success would you call relatively effective? Because I'm just going to bet that if you were to keep a little chart, just take little notes, well, I started off being reasonable, and then after several iterations of increasing ridiculousness, gave up on the fucker. And if you were to plot effectively changed a person's point of view using reason, and compare that with successive iterations of ridiculousness until you gave up, I would suspect that actually you'd find at most 10% success rate, and that is being unbelievably generous. Realistically, it's probably closer to 3.
Someone will usually change their mind when you bring the information to them pretty quickly. When they won't do it then, now you have a problem.
Again, if we're just going to say things here, if you give people the facts, generally they won't change their mind very quickly. What they'll do is they'll excuse themselves from the conversation, and then they will take some time to internally process this new data, cross-check it against what they know, maybe find out a little more about it before they start talking about it. Or just say, hey, that isn't true, you're full of crap, your information's wrong, but almost never will a person just change their mind on the spot. That's really something that people like to do at their leisure, not while you're standing there telling them shit.
Some people need to be bludgeoned with facts in order to get them. But as I've stolen from Phil Platt and said several times recently, it's very difficult to reason someone out of a position that they didn't get to through reason.
Well, if you really agree with that, then why would you think about trying to change religious people's mind with reason? I mean, it seems silly to use something which you yourself believe is a highly deficient strategy, right?
And going at it superficially and using the same tactics of your enemy, I mean, come on. I thought we were supposed to be better than that.
Whoa, how about you slow your roll? Who's this we, Kimosabi? You got a turd in your pocket? It's every atheist for himself. Or herself. You ain't the atheist police. I've said that before. Why don't you get it? You do not equal atheist police. Atheism isn't like an organization which has a churchy structure to it, and you ain't the clergy. Are you capishin' what I'm saying here?
It's not, well, some people are attacking her for things that they shouldn't, such as her use of a store and her personal appearance.
Oh my god, now you're policing the basis for attacking people? Is there anything that you don't feel personally entitled to regulate? Your arrogance is mind-boggling.
And I'm sorry if I expect people to be better than the Fox News of atheism.
Well, you should be sorry, because it is logically inconsistent with what you said earlier, which is everyone is entitled to make a buck. Well, just so happens, Fox News is an enormously profitable business model, okay? So, what kind of business-minded person wouldn't say, hey, Fox News is making money hand over fist using this particular style, why don't I adopt that style, and instead of use it for the far right, I'll use it for atheism, and then I'll make myself some dinero in the process. I mean, if everybody is entitled to make a buck, I mean, you can't really blame them for doing so efficiently, can you?
But I fucking expect better. And that's really where My problem and my disagreement with this, and with the characterization of the disagreement from you and Kate, this is where I take my issue with you guys. Because you're not fucking getting it.
Your belief that they aren't getting it is predicated on the probably false belief that they are motivated similarly to yourself. You have no reason to believe this, really, so you can't say whether or not they actually get it. They might perfectly get it, but have their own prerogatives. In fact, they probably do.
You're going out there and you're doing the Sean Hannity atheism dance, and I'm not going to play that game. And every time I see it, I'm going to call it out, and I'm going to spit in its face.
Well, now that's just a big fat sack of shit. I mean, you haven't spat in my face yet. I have to assume it's because I'm not cool and popular enough to be worth your time to spit in my face. But obviously you're a giant liar.
Because we are better than that. And when I say we, I mean all of us. Theists, atheists, and everyone who's in the moderate middle.
No, we're not. We really aren't. I mean, look around the world. Humans, they ain't all that in a bag of chips. And hey, I mean, at the very least, 1 to 2% of all people are what you'd call sociopaths, or, you know, just like monsters. So those people, they're not that great. And most importantly, atheism is a party, man. Don't be a party pooper, okay? Just try to go with the flow here, you know. Don't be all like, no, you shouldn't do this. It's bad, you know. You'll be a McCarthyist and stuff. I mean, come on, don't. A, it's not like it really matters all that much what happens on YouTube. B, the human race is going to be wiped out, or at least severely decimated, by way more severe problems than the religion atheism thing. I mean, we simply don't have the time for it to progress into this McCarthyistic extremist thing that you're picturing. It's just not going to happen. I should start scripting my videos. I had another point. Mainly, check yourself before you wreck yourself.